In today's video, we're going to talk about the Châtelet, the porterie, because it's a gate. Actually, it was the entrance gate of the domain and of the castle, of the medieval part. It's actually a building from the Middle Age, end of the Middle Age, beginning of the Renaissance. We have actually some Gothic parts. I don't know if you noticed, but there's two little angels on the entrance door, two little angels carved with the little towers like this on the right and on the left. That is really showing the medieval and Gothic part like you can find on a church. The renovation is going to start in September 2023, then next September. We're going to start with renovation of the facade, of the stone, of course a little bit of the roof. The roof will be restored that way because we find some pictures where we had the roof with two different types depend on the towers. The two towers of the west part were pointy, when the two towers of the east part were round. And actually it was restored at the end of the 19th century with a pointy part everywhere. We're going to restore also the windows. The windows are going to be restored in a medieval way because we are not going to put the windows that we see now that are with big squares. It's going to be actually not tinted glasses neither because it's going to retain too much light, and we need some light inside because the windows are not super big like on the posterior castle of the 17th century. It's going to be little windows with little glass parts with a hexagon, we call it navette shape. And it's going to let the light get in, and it's going to give an ambience, an atmosphere that is a bit more authentic. For the color of the windows, we don't know yet actually, because back then it was very strong colors like red, like yellow. I'm not sure I want to restore that kind of strong colors because I like to have two different periods showing in the domain, because of course there is two different periods on the buildings, but I'm not sure I want such a strong mark on the windows. But I'm not the only one deciding, because as you probably know, but in France and all over the world actually, when you have a building that is listed, you don't choose by yourself. You can give some ideas, you can bring some proposition, but you don't choose in the end, because this is really is not only my taste, is actually what was here before, and and this is what needs to go through the centuries after as a testimony of the history, and it's not only my taste. If you don't mind and you're not tired, we can go up through the stairs. Is helicoidal stairs, actually this way more, with a couple of questions. We are trying to find answers about the lighting, about if we need to remove the protections on the steps or not. We're gonna see that now. About the stairs here, it's pretty interesting to see how with the time you see that the stone was carved in, and you have actually the shape of the people going up and up, and over the centuries you can see the way actually. This could be a little bit dangerous, that's why recently they put some wood paneling here to make it square, but I don't find it nice. Then I was thinking to remove it and get back this. But for security reasons, I think I'm going to have to put some metal piece here to hold and not to fall. Also, I don't know if you noticed, but you have like a strong color here. My desire was to actually like remove this color and put more stone color because I found it more authentic. But apparently, it used to be, they're not against putting it back in a stone color, but apparently back in the days in the Middle Age, it was a lot of enduit like this, with colors, with strong colors, because apparently all the interiors were actually painted with fresco, kind of a fresco stuff. On top of the color, the people we were around during the centuries, like the owners, the visitors, the squatters, everyone were like writing little notes on the walls. All of these little inscriptions have been listed, and we can consult it, but I think we're going to remove them because some are pretty strong and about history, but some are about like who kissed who in the best case. The other question we had, is not really problematic, was how to put the lighting, because here you cannot. Here is complicated because between the stones you don't want to do big holes in the stones. Then we had two different options. My architect told me that we can do like some on the joints. We can do some way for the electric cables to go. And after you can hide it and you can put like some lightings all over the walls. But he wasn't sure that the joints were like thick enough, wide enough to let the cable go. So we had another option. There is actually, in the beginning of 20th century, all the threads and all the cables were actually enrolled in some silk, making like this kind of very nice cables like you can find on your grandmother lamps. And the cables were with little porcelain pieces, were actually like attached on the wall directly and apparent. You can see them on the wall, and you have the cable going down till the applique lamp can be fixed. Then maybe this is going to be the option we're going to keep. Let's go up. The organization of the Châtelet is pretty simple. On the main floor, on the ground floor, there is only the towers. Then you have 4 rooms, actually 3 rooms, and one is for the stairs where we are now. The first floor is actually where we're going to organize a living room, because I want this house to be a real house. You've never been any electricity or water here, and I wanted to implant that in the Châtelet. You arrive here with a little coursive here, going to the north east tower, where there's going to be a toilet over there, hidden, because the Monument Historique said if you open this building for the visits, you need to show everything. Then of course, like toilets is not very beautiful to visit. Then we're going to make toilets in a kind of like hidden under like in a cupboard. Then we can visit that room without thinking is a bathroom. This room is the main room. It is the biggest room of the Châtelet. It's probably something like 30 square meters. There is only one big window with a huge fireplace that you can see with the blason of the family, Pigeon de Dampierre. You can actually recognize it because there is like fire pots. There are 3, 1, 2, 3. You see them here too. And this is really like the people who built it. Also, to have a good idea about the buildings is actually, there is a trick. One of the blasons, this one for instance, is actually cut in 2 parts. The left part is the Pigeon de Dampierre, the right part is another family. And actually this is a type of blason they used to do when there was a wedding. Then you know that this is the wedding of Pigeon de Dampierre family and another family. And actually you look in the history book and you find that the 2 families got married in the end of the 15th century. Then you know that the fireplace, we built it exactly at that period. That's how we could actually determine when the Châtelet was built, at least the fireplace was. About the project, this room is going to be a living room. It's going to be over there. I hope I'm going to find a long table like in a convent, you know, like the long table with 2 little bench. I want maybe to put a big tapestry over there. I will see if I find something big enough to fit this wall. Sofa here, maybe 2 little chairs in front of the fireplace. The question here was the floor. There is some original floor, like this one with the tile that is the shape and the size of a very traditional floor of that period, but is mixed with many others. There's like a very like 19th century hexagonal tiles here, and a smaller one from the 17th century, showing that maybe, actually, when you see the pattern, you can tell that maybe it was a way over there with maybe a door here. The archaeologue are doing a big work about that to try to reestablish the way it was before. Then the question about the floor will be like, how do we restore it? Because there is some tiles that are very broken. Then we probably need to replace it. But if we replace it with what kind of tiles? If we put like a new ones, it's going to show too much and make a patchwork, and this doesn't work. Then if we use like old ones, it could be better, but it's not likely to find tiles that are going to be exactly the same color as the others. Then my idea was to actually remove them all, clean it, take and keep only the ones that are in good shape, and we can place them in another room of a smaller size. And here we can buy antique tiles of the same shape, but the same lot. Then at least you have a unity in the floor, and I think it looks more authentic than doing like a patchwork like this. Also, the question was heating system, because as you see, there is no isolation. It's like stone. Then when it's cold, it's cold. When it's hot, it's cold. Then that's not so bad for the summer, but it's pretty bad for the winter. The windows are going to be changed, then there's going to be more isolation for that. That's already a good point. But we cannot isolate the walls because it's going to be showing. Before, what they used to do is to put some tapestry on the walls to isolate a little bit. But I'm not going to put tapestry everywhere for beauty and aesthetic reasons. Then the system could be heating by the floor, but this is a lot of constructions, and on economic reasons, I think we're gonna not keep that option. We're gonna put heating system like the classic one with the metal big one from the 19th century, the one that are a bit carved and look pretty good. The problem is we cannot put pipes everywhere coming. Then it will be not the water one, but it's going to be the electric one. It does exist now. They take like old heating system heaters in metal. They put oil in it, and you can branch it with electricity, and it warms like a water one. And you don't have to put all the pipes everywhere and go through the walls, because it's a listed place. We don't have the authorization to break the walls that easily. So we work with a bureau d'études, which is like specific people who are very specialized on that kind of study, to determine how many heaters we need to put in this room to have a decent temperature in the winter. Apparently I should put 3. I will see if we can only put 2, but a bigger size, like here a big one and maybe one over there, and let's see if it's warm enough to spend the winter in family in here. If we go down here, we're gonna build a kitchen over there. We had the authorization already. Then everything I'm telling is probably happening because it's not only a project. We ask the DRAC, la Direction des Affaires Culturelles, the organization in France who is in charge of all the historical restoration and authorization. And they said yes. We had like several meetings. We did studies for literally 2 years, and we talked and discussed with them, and we finally find an agreement on how to arrange this place. Then here is going to be the living room. Down over there is going to be the kitchen. The kitchen where the floor is going to be redone. The ceiling actually is going to be lowered a little bit because it's pretty high right now, and it's actually too high according to the window, because you have basically the ceiling arriving in the middle of the window. Then over there you're going to have the ceiling going a bit lower to have the window properly open. I don't know why they did this back then, but it's a bit bizarre. And the kitchen will be a pretty traditional kitchen. I think we will have to put a paneling on the walls, not to integrate and fix the kitchen on the walls, because everything need to be removed eventually without touching the walls, because everything is listed. In this tower, it's pretty interesting one, because you have a very nice ceiling, a round one. This one is going to be a little library, and the interesting part is actually here. We're going to restore it and reintegrated properly, because it's the latrine, is basically the toilets of the Middle Age. It was not complicated and very sophisticated. It was just a hole on the wall, and it was actually a sit-in part that's going to be restitute. And it was, as you see, I don't know if you can see closer, but there is like two chimney, one on the right, one on the left. The one on the right was for this floor, and the one on the left was for the superior floor. Then you were seated like a toilet and everything was going down. Let's go to the second floor now. And very nice thing for someone that is tall like I am is that everywhere you stand, you can stand everywhere you go. Because sometimes in the kind of houses, because the people were like much smaller, you struggle to stand. And okay, maybe I speak too soon, but this is a bit lower actually. Here is exactly the same shape and organization on the rooms. You have a little coursive here with a toilet that's going to be there. And here you're going to enter the equivalent of the room under. Is going to be a big room, a bedroom. This one, the floor, was probably tiles back then, but we did some studies. Actually, I don't know if you see here, but you have a different level. Then it was probably that level everywhere. But we did a little study in terms of strength of the building, and we discovered that the framing, the wood framing, is not strong enough to support like a tile floor. Then we're going to put a wooden floor with probably like old wood that we need to find to have some authentic effect in the end. Then this is going to be a bedroom with a big bed here. I already have like some ideas for decoration. I will tell you more later. The windows are not going to be that big. I mean, it's going to be the same shape of windows, but not the same shape of glass. As I said, it's going to be little hexagonal little glasses. And about the fireplace, that is properly Renaissance one. That's going to be completely restored. And what happened is actually they changed that. It was probably here a very nice blason in the middle, like the fireplace downstairs. But it had been removed, probably sold to get back some money. And what is happening is that they put this stone one that is pretty strong and ugly that was not for here. And that kind of destroyed the whole structure and the balance, because all of this building is about balance. Then you change a little thing that you think is not going to change much, and it actually changed the whole building. Then so far we had to put some étalement to hold it like this, scaffoldings like this, to be sure that nothing falls down so far. This room on top of the kitchen is going to be the bathroom. Cannot wait to be in a bath in this room, honestly. Look at this. You have incredible ceiling. The walls are going to be beautiful when restored. You have a big windows over there showing the castle, and a smaller one over there showing the entrance gates. I would like, I don't know, like a zinc or copper bath standing here. Need to find like an antique one if I can find, and we will do, because this is the fun part, the decoration part. Voila, over there we're going to go back on top of the other, the little library we planned to do. And here is going to be the latrine where the toilet was. And here there is actually a latrine that looks more like a latrine of the second floor. I wouldn't sit on that. And let's go now to the attic. The attic with the exact same structure as the rooms downstairs, but with a beautiful view on the castle. Come here to check that. It's amazing, no? Actually, this house is amazing because you have a variety of historic construction architecture, and what I love is actually you can see your own castle from another tower, like you're in Paris. In Paris, you're just facing a monument, and here is the same. It looks like I'm seeing my neighbor's house. And this is pretty amazing to actually see your house from different angles. And this is going to be also in the towers organized little rooms, bedrooms and bathrooms. And here is going to be like kind of a living room. And you can see the frame of the wooden frame of the house. And this one is very interesting. And in terms of isolation, because we need to put isolation in this room, this was a bit more tricky because you can isolate the frame, but you need to put isolation, which is like basically 20 centimeters wide. Then you need to do it, and it's going to hide most of the frame. Then we didn't want that, and it cost also a fortune to do it because you need someone to do like made-to measures isolation everywhere. Then we were thinking like we will do in this room specifically a wood paneling like it used to be done on the attics that were where people were living. They were doing like all this paneling. That was probably here also because I don't know if you see, but there is like some pins, some nails pinned on probably. Then it's probably possible that before it was some wood paneling. Actually, it makes you think about like a bit of a cock of a bateau. I don't know how we say this in English. It's probably like the boat shape anyway. And voila. And in the rooms over there, we're going to go. It's pretty interesting actually. Let's go. Be careful, it's not very stable. It's actually a lot of little holes on the wall. In the beginning I thought it was for, oh my god, the sound is so bizarre. You know, like the medieval people invented the stereo. I don't know if you hear that, but when you are just in the middle, the sound is turning and you feel like you are inside of your voice. When I arrived first, I thought it was just some stick going out for the birds to stand. And actually it was not. It was a bit different. It was for birds, for the pigeons probably because they were like communicating with pigeons by then. I don't know how they convinced pigeons to go from one place to another, but by then it worked much better than the postal system nowadays. But actually what happened, and they put the sticks, yes, and on top of the sticks they put like enduit, meaning like a material to hang actually the materials on the sticks, and they organized little nests on the material. It was probably a material made of mud and some straw, and they put like some little nests like this hanging everywhere, and the little pigeon could like reproduce themselves and live there. And here there is a little bee cemetery because there is bees, which is pretty nice. It means like it's pretty healthy in the park. And there is also like a little ruche, a bee exploitation over there, with a guy who's making some honey. Here you have the view of the perspective. There used to be probably kilometers and kilometers, but has been cut by constructions and fields. But we will at least recreate the perspective after the gate, at least on 100 meters. From the attic we're going to go to the basement because there is like some places in the basement that is pretty interesting because I think it was a jail in a way. We didn't find bones. Apparently they freed them before they died, but there is some very interesting things I want to show you. The garden is pretty growing, it's pretty nice. We arrive now in one of the towers. I wanted to show you something. It used to be, I think, what they call in French a cachot, meaning a little jail where you put the people you don't want to have in the house and the kids that were unkind, I guess. And here is pretty interesting because here there is just like when you can see in jail sometimes little marks like this showing someone who was just like counting the days. And let me tell you, there is like many days he spent here, or she, but I think more he. And there's like all of this and all of this. I didn't count them all, but the person that was here was really patient. And this, I will ask them to keep this, because I think this is pretty interesting. Hope you liked the Châtelet visit. Of course, there is plenty of other things to see, but everything didn't come to my mind. Oh, by the way, about that. Here there is a part of the previous gate that was put here. I have no idea why, but it's kind of cute. Then we leave it here, and it's not going to be reintegrated to the gate over there, but it's going to be restored too. Hope you like the visit of the Châtelet. Of course, I cannot talk about everything, but if you have questions or topics you would like to discuss more on me to do my research, because I don't know everything about this house, and I guess the work of my entire life will be to discover new things. That's the crazy thing about living in an old house. Please send comments, and I will read them, and I will try to answer them better.